Okay, now in this part of the video we're going to put on a fender bottom. Now the fender we're using in this is a 68 GTO, and you can see that the fender is pretty well rotted out, and somebody years ago, looks to me like they tried to Bondo it up, which is not a very good idea for, you know, a restoration type vehicle. So anyway, we got a new fender bottom. Of course there is new fenders available for this car, but because the rest of the fender was in very good shape, we decided that we would just put a fender bottom in it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to measure on your new piece of the fender bottom. You want to measure up and get your cut area where you want to cut on this part of the fender to install the new fender bottom. So I've already pre-marked and pre-measured, and what you want to do next is take a straight line on your measuring marks and draw your lines for your cutting. Now I'm going to cut this about a 1/16 of an inch bigger than what we really need. You want to make sure that when you do this, you make your cut straight. All right, now I'm going to cut that with a cutoff tool. And like I say, you want to make sure that the area you cut going down on the inside of the fender is even with your line that goes across. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this fender off, and when we come back that piece will be already cut off, and I'll show you what has to be done next. Okay, we got the bottom of the fender cut off. As you can see, we cut the inner part. There's an inner brace. In 99% of the fenders you're going to work on, there's going to be some kind of an inner brace in the fender. It gives the bottom of the fender strength. But you can see we cut it straight across. Everything's even. Now, what we've done is after we cut that off, we took the grinder and we ground inside, got all the deburring off of the metal, and ground all the other areas where when we put the new fender bottom on, it's already clean. So once we get it clamped and all, we'll be able to just spot weld it in place. Now, the new fender bottom, we ground all along the edges so we'd have a place to weld. Also, you want to take this corner where it's going to ride along this side of the fender. You want to cut that corner out and V it back like I did here. V it back. If not, when you put this up in here, the fender would be about 1/4 of an inch in from this body line, and that's not going to work. You can't fill that with Bondo. You have to notch this corner out. And what we did is on the inner brace comes welded on the new piece usually. We took and cut down the edge on both sides and crimped this piece, the two sides in, and pushed this back. Now when we cut this here, we also open this out. I'm not worried about how any of this fits at this point. Right now I'm more interested in just being able to get this back on the fender. So you'll see, now this will slip right back on because I've already done the cuts, and you can see now that it's pretty much back to the way it should be. And by cutting and notching out the corner, you see now the body line is perfect here like it should be. So what you want to do is get this back up on there and get a couple of clamps and clamp this in place. Don't worry about it being straight or anything right now. We just want to get it clamped so it's being held up onto the fender itself. After you get it clamped in place, we which sometimes is a pain, and of course showing you in the video, trying to do it in a professional manner, but I think you'll get the gist here. Of course, it's great if you have welding clamps available. I mean, you're really going to need them to be able to get into the different areas that you have to be into here to clamp this metal back together. Now our body lines are just a little off on this edge. So once you get it clamped, if you clamp it loose enough, I mean, you don't want to clamp down on it like it was no tomorrow. You just want it on there snug. And then what you're going to do is take a hammer, take a body hammer, and you can tap the metal. And that'll get everything lined up where you want it. Like I say, at this point, you're not worried about how good everything's fitting here. The main thing is that you're getting your metal lined back up. Now, what I've done is I made a template. I took a piece of cardboard and I used the door as a guide for this template. So after you get this tacked in place, you'll be able to use the template and put it on the fender. Of course, the clamp's in the way at this point, but once I get it tacked, I'll be able to move this. You'll be able to get your template in place to where you get the fender perfect this way. Your template will fit down, and it'll show you where, like here now, of course in the video I'm sure it's hard to see, but I'm about 1/4 of an inch off. But if I raise that up and push the fender down, you can see the template fits perfect on the fender. So what you want to do is go ahead and get the fender tacked in place. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll break here, and I'll get the fender tacked, and when we come back I'll show you how to use the template and make sure everything is right here. Then we'll flip the fender up and we'll weld, show you how to get it ready to weld on the inside on that inner brace. Okay, now I got the other side just tacked, and what I did now is I flipped the fender over, and you can see that this piece of the new part of the fender fits down inside the L bracket that's inside. This is the support bracket for the inside of the fender. So what I've done is I put the fender brace, the bottom part of the fender brace, inside the original brace. I took my template that I made, laid it on the outside of the fender, and made sure that when before I clamped this, that I had the template in the right place. So what I did is I just clamped this down on both sides. Now you're going to want to MIG weld this, and you know, MIG welding is much better than brazing or gas welding because it warps the metal so bad. So make sure that when you do this, you MIG weld. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to MIG weld in this bracket to the top part of the bracket, and that'll make the fender strong. Then I'll flip it over and I'll finish welding on the other side. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, as you can see now, we've got the fender all welded together, and it is now ready to have the body work done. In other words, to fix where you welded the two pieces together. Now we show how to do that, the body work section, in our advanced auto body repair and complete painting video. So after we get this all done and in primer, we'll come back and we'll show you a front shot and a back shot of the repair, and then we'll move on to our next project.